Was that 2 seconds? I'm not good at counting. Hi, I'm John Bailey. I am with Wellspring Digital. We are a full service digital marketing firm located primarily in Frederick, Maryland, but we also have offices in the Austin area and in Naples, Florida. I am a digital marketer with lots of years of experience. I've dabbled in just about everything. My core competency is writing, but I do manage and understand SEO projects. I have managed large-scale design and development projects for websites, and I am very active on social media, for better or for worse. I am also a father, a husband, and a drummer. I have a dog named Stanley Tucci, and I live on a farm. I think that's it. Okay, so today we are going to talk about Google EAT. I'm going to say Google Eat because who's got time to say EAT every time? So we're going to talk about Google Eat, and we are going to learn it, live it, love it, so that you don't get eaten by your competition. There will be no shortage of dad jokes in this presentation. So specifically, there we go. We are going to discuss, first of all, what the heck is Google Eat? We're going to talk about Eat type content and link building. We're going to discuss structured data, and we're going to talk about why Eat matters. So what exactly is Google Eat? Well, future Wellspring Digital chat guest and SEO badass Roger Monti describes Eat as EAT is an acronym for expertise, authoritativeness, and trustworthiness. Google created EAT for measuring the quality of content, particularly for third-party raters with their quality ratings guide. Just real quick, anyone that is unfamiliar, Google employs, I don't know, probably around 10,000 people whose job it is literally to use Google and rate the results. So what these people are doing is they're running through assigned tasks. They're doing searches in Google, and then the results that come up, they are saying whether those are quality results or not. And EAT is a huge factor of that ratings guide. So I'll get into that a little bit more as we go through. Some quick facts, some quick EAT facts. EAT is mentioned 137 times in the most recent version of the Quality Raters Guideline. Now, this is important. It is not an algorithm, meaning it is not a mechanism within Google's code. It is something that informs future algorithm development. So it is not an algorithm or a ranking factor, but it does directly inform them. Eat is not directly measurable, and its effects are indirect. So it's not as if you can go down an Eat checklist. It's very subjective. Eat is very much future-proofing your online presence. If you know anything about SEO, you know that there are regular updates, and the most recent updates, the core updates and the product review update, were primarily about Eat. They were focused on the content and website expertise, authoritativeness, and trustworthiness. These updates were continuations of Panda and Penguin. These were two Google algorithm updates. Panda was very much content related. So it was going against thin or useless content. Penguin was link related. So if you've ever hired an SEO firm and they bought a bunch of links and you got dinged for it, you can thank the little panda for that. Core algorithm updates almost always, in fact, in the past few years, have always mentioned expertise, authoritativeness, and trustworthiness. A Wellspring Digital Chat alumni, Lily Ray, who was also the great niece of the famed photographer Man Ray and a drummer and one of my all-time favorite people in SEOs, says, EAT is not in and of itself a ranking factor, but rather a framework that encompasses the many signals Google uses to evaluate and rank great content. So if you want to understand how these algorithms are working, you think of them through the lens of EAT. Now, what about EAT-friendly content and EAT-friendly links? Let's talk about it. So let's focus first on expertise. So when you are creating content for your website, for your social media, as much as possible within your industry, within your vertical, whatever you want to call it, you want to try to use subject matter experts writing to their expertise level. Now, this doesn't mean making it boring. This means making it informative and making sure that it is obvious that an expert has developed this content. Their expertise is shown in their byline and their author page, and I'll get into that a little bit more in a second. This is highly researched content with verified facts. If you're going to use facts, statistics, quotes, anything, always, think about your high school term paper. Always give attribution. Say where you got the stuff and link back to it. It's a good idea if you have the resources to have your content edited and reviewed regularly and publicly vetted. If you are, a medical institute or financial institute or anything where that is required. If you can, and I'll get into this in a second, if you can show that it was edited, that actually speaks to the value of that content. Case studies, white papers, fact-rich reports, ebooks, great EAT content. And be diverse with your content offerings. Don't just churn out 2,000 word blog posts over and over again, or 500 word blog posts over and over again. Try to be diverse. Try to mix in video and podcast content and infographics and all those sorts of things. Offer unique analysis and perspective that sets you apart and shows that you have a valued opinion on the content that you're creating. You have a valued perspective that people want to see and hear and consume. So your author page tips: when you have a blog on your website, you should always have an author page. This author page should contain external links where that author is mentioned and published. There should be a link to articles written on your website. If there are videos, podcasts, images of that author, or speaking gigs where they are speaking soon, include that information in their page. If it makes sense, let's say you're in the plumbing world and this author is writing about a specific type of plumbing, you want to include in their author page, what kind of tools they use, what kind of certifications they have. You want to treat these author pages like a little mini microsite. I'll show you an example here in a second for that author. Lots of bio detail for guest posts sites. In other words, let's say you write a post for the Frederick Chamber, which is encouraged, you want to provide to the chamber your author information so that they have something to pull from that shows your expertise on their site. And you want to make sure that you sync your content with the schema data and you're checking the knowledge graph. So I'm going to talk about schema data in a second. The knowledge graph is when you go and do a search on Google and you see those panels. So let's say you search for an actor and you see that panel that says movies and shows that they're in, bio, images, videos, all that sort of thing. That's a knowledge graph. So what Google is doing is they are pulling content right out of a site or multiple sites, and they are posting that, they are reformatting it and posting it in a specific format on their page. So their goal is to keep you on their page, and they're doing that through these knowledge graphs and knowledge panels. So you want to make sure as much as possible that you're showing up in those, and the way to do that is with Schema, and I'll talk about that in a second. So here's some examples of some author bylines. Sorry, I lost my place here for a second. So You can see there's some from Harvard Business Review. There are some quick little bylines there. There's my byline. I have my social links. And there's the aforementioned Roger Monte's byline. And then if you look here, you can see Roger has, this is a page on Search Engine Journal. So this isn't Roger's website. Roger is a guest contributor to Search Engine Journal, and this is his author page at Search Engine Journal. He's listed as staff, but that's just because he's a regular contributor. Again, here's another one over here to the right. This is Marketing Profs. And so what they've done is they've listed, they have his image, they have his LinkedIn, his Twitter, they have a link to his book, they have a link to his company, and then they have the articles that he has contributed to Marketing Profs. All of that works to build the expertise of the author so that the content is believed and has high EAT value. Authority in your content marketing is a little bit tougher. So what Google is often looking for are vectors of proof. So a vector is point A, point B, point C. I'm not a physicist or a scientist or a mathematician or whatever, so I'm going to butcher this. But what you're doing is Google is seeing, okay, you're saying you're an expert. What are these experts saying about you being an expert? Those experts legitimizing you as an expert, that is a vector of proof. So you want to guest post on sites with authority. These are high traffic, high authority sites, meaning they are highly trusted. The content is peer reviewed. It's great content. You want to try to submit site content to those sites because that in and of itself is a vector of proof that you know what you're talking about and that you are an author with expertise and authority. You want to become a citation on high EAT sites. This one requires some extra work. Basically, you want to just make sure that you are reaching out to other people who are talking about things that you know a lot about and offering them. Maybe you offer them an infographic or you offer them some links to content. They can use that in their post. That is becoming a citation on high EAT sites. It takes a lot of work. It's pretty manual, but the payoff is huge if you can get some of those citations. Ideally, you want others to cite your content, and you want them to seek it out and use it on their own. And so the way to do that is to create great content that is highly shareable. You want to make sure that you're working to get interviews and PR. So if you have legitimate news, and that's not really the focus of this webinar, but if you have legitimate news, you want to make sure that you're getting it out there. If you have time, be a participant in things like Reddit or Quora. These are great ways to, if you have legitimate information to share on those sites, ways that you can offer value and can answer questions. That's a great way to build authority. And make sure that your backlink profile supports your expertise, authoritativeness, and trustworthiness. And that requires something like SEMrush or Ahrefs, a tool that you use to basically, and there are others, I think Majestic is one. I don't know. I'm not an SEO, but if you can have someone do a crawl and figure out what your backlinks are, and if there are bad ones in there, get them out. Trust in your content marketing. You want to trust. Comes from third parties. So you build trust by creating great content, but you also build trust by encouraging others to verify that you know what you're talking about. So encourage reviews of the site and the author. Use citations in your content and your schema so people know that you're not just making this stuff up. Host a safe and secure website. If your website is not safe and secure, all of the rest of this does not matter. So if you're hosting on one of those platforms that is a little sketchy, maybe make a move. Make contacting you easy. It drives me crazy when people hide their contact information on their website. Make contacting the company, put an address on there, put an email address on there, put a contact form, put a phone number. If you want, make the author contactable. It really helps to improve the trust of the person. Use badges. This is that sort of third-party verification, like the Frederick Chamber or Better Business Bureau, those sorts of things. Use those badges on your site. That helps to calm the nerves of the site reader. A trustworthy brand is one that's searched for by name. This takes time, and it takes a lot of great content, and it takes you being a resource and someone that is a go-to resource and someone that is trusted, that will always try to help as best they can. And try to think and write like a journalist. That is basically saying that you have to think about it like whenever you're writing something, think about it that that hardcore editor, that really tough editor, you know, that when she reads the content, she's going to be like, okay, great. You've verified all your facts. This is good. This is legit. Thanks. Right like that. I don't know. Sorry, I don't know how that got in there. I went the wrong way. Wait. Yes. Okay. So the main reason for Google Eat is best explained by my friend Lily Ray here again, is EAT, Google's criteria for analyzing the trustworthiness of content and the people who publish it in order to mitigate the spread of misinformation. So basically what they're saying is there was a lot of junk on the web. There was a lot of bad information. There was a lot of fake news, whatever you want to call it. There was a lot of information out there that was not verified. It was not peer reviewed. It was not edited. It was not supported. And their goal with EAT was to make sure that those things were not showing up in the SERPs. So link building. Here's some quick tips. I'm going to blow through these. And again, these slides will, or I never said this actually, these slides will be posted online for you to review. So don't feel like you got to feverishly take notes. And I believe this webinar is being recorded. So anyway, don't sleep on HARO. HARO is help a reporter out. I think it's helpareporter.com, or I don't know what it is. Just do a search for HARO and you'll find it. And basically what that is HARO is a bunch of journalists who are submitting requests for subject matter experts. So what you do is you get these emails. It's tedious, but the payoff is huge. You get these emails and it'll say, I need an expert on gutters. I need an expert on audio video, you know, and then you can come in as that expert and say, I'm that expert. And you email that journalist directly and you can become a cited source on a actual journalist piece, which goes a long way for your EAT. Ask podcasters to interview your experts. That way you get that video out there or that audio out there that shows that you are a trusted resource. Again, integrate PR into your content marketing efforts. PR is a huge lift for both SEO and for content marketing, as long as what you're putting out there is newsworthy. Publish your experts on high EAT blogs. Again, seek out those blogs and those websites that are very, very high value, and make sure that you're submitting guest posts to those. Seek out interview opportunities beyond just podcasting. Build author and brand Wikipedia pages. This is time consuming and it requires real information. This isn't fluff. This isn't BS. This is real information that's worthy of being read on Wikipedia. And it is reviewed and it has to be legit. So, but if you can do it, you can go in and you can submit your brand or your experts as Wikipedia content, and it goes a long way to help build up your EAT. Offer shareable content. Earn your links. Earn your links by creating great content. You don't earn links by just generating junk. You earn links by generating great stuff. So create highly linkable content. So what is highly linkable content? Again, interviews and podcasts with experts. If you check out our Wellspring Digital Chat series, we do that. Infographics, charts, graphs, great, as long as it's all verified and legit. Excuse me. Use quotable language. So instead of writing paragraphs that start here and end here, that are 4 feet long, write quick paragraphs and offer statistics and quotable language that someone can lift out and then attribute back to that post. Cite statistics with analysis and then give attribution. Roundup posts with experts are fantastic ways to create highly linkable content, because you're getting those experts on your blog. You're basically asking them a bunch of questions and you're listing their names out in your content. And when you do that, when you share it, you can then get those experts to help share it as well. And it amplifies its reach. And it's also high EAT content, because it's a whole bunch of experts saying expert stuff. So it's good stuff. And if you're bold enough, challenge the status quo, arguing for change, as long as you have a solid argument and can back it up with facts and figures. About this result is a nice little tool that Google offers that can give you a little bit of insight. So in this result here, we can see that the site is secured, that is linked to, and then it is relevant to the query. Many of these factors that you see in this about this result listing are EAT related. And you want to look for other websites with your search term linked to this result. Basically, what that means is other people find this particular result of high value, high EAT value. So when you see that is fantastic. And you can see that right here in your search and this result. I don't know if you could see my my cursor, but right there, our other websites with your search terms linked to this result. That's great stuff. Stop doing these, please. Stop creating doorway pages. This is basically link bait, thin content pages where you're trying to kind of bait and switch. Don't do that. Stop posting boring same content. Stop writing articles to rank for keywords. Just stop. It's a fool's errand. Write articles that are of high value, using the language and the words that your audience uses as well. Stop hiding authors and posting as staff. Post as a person. People trust people. People don't trust faceless staff or company names. They trust people. Use your people. Don't spew off facts unless you can back it up with attribution. Don't write thin, short, or salesy content. Make sure that someone else reads your content and gets to the end and goes, this has a lot of value. That's what you want. Syndicating incorrectly. So this is getting your content reposted on another site, but not including the rel canonical, which basically means that it's not your content. It's not original on that site. Your site is the original source, and that might require a little SEO help, but it's important to make sure that you get that verified, that if you are syndicating your content, that it is being done correctly. You want to stop trying to trick Google. They're way smarter than you. You can't game them. You can play them a little bit, but be careful. Instead, I would say focus your time and energy on creating better content. Social media and EAT. Social media is one of those vectors of proof if it shows verified expertise, authority, authoritativeness, and trust. So make sure to include all your credentials and affiliations in your bio, and this will come into play when I cover schema here in a second. Build a solid following and follow well, follow experts. Post high EAT content and comments on social media, proving that you are of value and that you are a contributor to the conversation. Share others high EAT content on social media. Be consistent, helpful, and responsive. This is crucial. Don't be a ghost. If you're going to be a ghost, don't be on that channel. Use a standard image for all channels. I mean, this is loose, but you know, it's a good idea that somebody be able to see when they go from LinkedIn to Twitter to Facebook that it's the same person. Search for your reputation and reviews about you. You might be surprised what you find, and when you find it, do what you can to try to remedy that. So why links? So your site cannot have EAT without a link and brand mention profile. The key to building content assets for link building is creating unique content that no other site can offer. This is Kevin Rowe, and he's a frequent contributor to a lot of high value SEO sites. So I trust him. All right, let's get a little geeky here. Don't worry. I'm not going to argue that you learn how to code. We're just going to talk about Schema, which there are plugins, and it's all good. Just don't worry. So structured data. Structured data is like meta tags times 10 times 1,000. It gets you into the knowledge graph that we talked about before, that special panel on the website. You can check schema.org for specific types of structured data to use. I'm going to show you some examples here in a second. What structured data does is helps Google determine and what one thing is against another. In other words, it reduces ambiguity among specific entities that it is crawling. It provides additional SEO friendly data. Nesting schema is best, and I'll show you an example of that. And more schema is better as long as it is verified and relevant. So Bill Slawski is he's kind of a weirdo. So what Bill Slawski is really good at is Bill Slawski will spend hours reading patents. He will read Google patents. How boring is that? But he makes sense of those patents for the rest of us. So he has studied probably structured data more than anybody else on the planet. And he says structured data adds a level of preciseness that a search engine needs and might not grasp because it doesn't have the common sense of a human. So these are bots. These are little robots crawling through your site, and they might get to your content without structured data and get confused or think one thing is one thing, but it's actually another. So you want to make sure that your structured data is in there to say to Google, this is exactly what these things are. And so what that can look like, you can have person schema. This could be their affiliations, where they went to school, what awards they've won, what credentials they have, what their job is, what their job title is. Same as is basically verifying. So if your name's Michael Jackson, you want to make sure that you're not confused with, I don't know. I'm sure there's other Michael Jacksons in the world, maybe some famous ones. But anyway, you want to make sure that you don't get confused with those famous Michael Jacksons. So you say same as, and you give links to your social profiles, and this tells Google, oh, it's this Michael Jackson. Great. You can also have organization data or schema. Sorry, this could be your address. It could be your DUNS number. It could be the name of the founders. It could be the founding date. It could be member organizations like the Chamber of Commerce. And if there are parent organizations, what those are. Article schema examples, and these are for like blog posts. You have the author schema. So this is the person schema or the org schema or both that we just looked at. Reviewed by is huge for EAT. Reviewed by is basically the editor of the content, and it's stating that someone actually took the time to review this and has verified that the information in it is correct. Any citations in the article, you can include that in the schema. That way Google knows that you're giving credit where credit is due. The article body and the article section, these two things help with the knowledge graph. So these are the things that Google might pull out and include in the search engine results, especially if it's something that is, you know, a quick answer to a question. That if you've ever done a search and you see in Google and they'll include like a paragraph from a website, that's a knowledge graph, and that's probably coming from Schema. You want to include the audience, and this helps Google to understand who they should be showing this information to. And if there's a contributor, a second author, you want to include them as well. You want to include the copyright, the date created, again, who the editor is, which is a little bit different than reviewed by. If there's an overarching editor, someone that's in charge of all content, include that. Keywords, you can include keywords in here, and it's not really a ranking factor, as it is a ranking factor if it's verified by Google that the keywords you put in your schema are also relevant to the content you've created. If it's very local content, if you're talking about local things, you want to include local data, where it was created, and who the publisher is, if it's someone other than the author or the parent website or the website owner. So this is an example of schema. So you guys can all write this code, right? That's no problem. That's easy stuff. No, I'm just kidding. This is what it looks like to Google. This is what it looks like when you do a validation. So this is nested schema. So this is Lily Ray's schema. And you can see all the things I just talked about in this. This is where you can go. If you go to this website and enter in, you know, a very specific blog post website, you can actually see this is the stuff on the left is what Google sees. The stuff on the right is what you can see as the actual schema as it's been entered. So it's a great way to verify if you actually do have schema and what is its quality on your website, is go to this website right here. Yoast, if you have a WordPress website, Yoast SEO schema is great. You can enter this like you're just filling out a form, and this can be included right on the post itself or on page content or wherever. But take the time and fill this information out, because it does go a long way, and it's super easy, but it has a major impact. Some schema tools that you can use. Schema Pro is great. All-in-one schema rich snippets is great. Yoast, as I mentioned, WP Review plugin is great. WPSSO Core, WP SEO structured data schema. That's my personal favorite. If you're not using WordPress, there are schema plugins for things like Drupal and other platforms. I just like WordPress. I think it's the best for SEO right now, until something comes along that's better, but it's what we have. Whoops. Eat is your SEO future. So this is where I hammer it home why EAT is important. So this is Danny Sullivan. He's the guy that gets quoted all the time, mostly for comments he makes on Twitter, because he works for Google. So, and he's very snarky and he's very funny. And when someone was asking about EAT, he said, in a very sarcastic tone, if you can read it that way, it's almost like we look for signals that align with expertise, authoritativeness, and trustworthiness. We should give that an acronym like EAT and maybe suggest people aim for this. Oh, wait, we did. Yeah, he's that kind of guy. But what he's saying here is that they've told you time and time again that EAT matters. There are trust-based ranking signals. While EAT is not a ranking signal, there are trust-based ranking signals. So trustworthiness is a ranking signal in certain aspects. EAT signals if a site is rank worthy. In other words, your site, if it has high EAT, what Google is saying is that they are tweaking and refining their algorithms to make sure that that site gets rewarded by being listed in the SERPs. Your EAT is now your website's brand. That's the new way to think about your website's brand, is its expertise, its authoritativeness, and its trustworthiness. It's no longer just a brochure, an online brochure. It is a vector of proof for other people when they are talking to you in person or they are emailing you. They're going to your website as a vector of proof that you know what the heck you're talking about. Websites with EAT get links. Websites with high expertise, authoritativeness, and trustworthiness, given enough time, will get lots of backlinks. It's just the way it is. But you do have to spend the time to get it out there. You do have to share that content. You do have to create linkable and citable content. You do have to spend time with PR. You do have to get on Haro. You do have to get on social. You have to do the things to get your website out there. But the more it's out there, the more exponentially it will get the links that you want. Websites with EAT get sales. People that are in the B2B world know this very well, that when they are in the process of trying to sell to someone, their website is, it is what gets looked at. So you talk to them, you have a great conversation, maybe you give them a proposal, it's a fantastic proposal, and then they go to your website and your website is crap, you've lost the sale. Sorry. High EAT improves ranking chances. So don't believe me, okay? This is my boss, and he's also a two-time US Search Award judge, and he's also a little bit of a SEO, hardcore SEO nerd, and he knows the stuff. So he says EAT is what sets you apart. EAT is what gets you long-term gains in SEO and wins the trust and business of your audience. Now, if you don't believe my boss, you can believe Josh Hardwick, because he's a hardcore SEO as well, and he writes constantly for the Ahrefs blog. And he says, having a website doesn't necessarily mean you deserve to rank. If there's better, more authoritative content out there, then Google will, quite rightly, try to send traffic their way, not yours. So let's recap. You have the opportunity now, especially if you read the Quality Raters Guide, which is about 170 some pages. I recommend it. It's a little boring, but it's useful. You have the opportunity to find out exactly what Google wants from you. They want EAT content. You have the opportunity to turn things around. If you're not creating EAT content, create that content, get it reviewed, use as much quality citations as possible, use subject matter experts, bring in outside subject matter experts, interview them, use facts and statistics, create charts and graphs, do things that make it very clear to your audience that you know what you're talking about and that you're using people that know what they're talking about, and that all of it has been verified and proven to be factual and correct, and it is trustworthy. Create all that content, code your website correctly with Schema. Get out there on social and be useful, be a resource. Make sure that you are not generating junk and contributing to the vast amount of noise on the interwebs, that you're actually creating content that's useful. And make sure that you have put it in your mission statement and your value proposition that you want to help people, that you want to make their lives better, and that you will do that through your marketing. I know that sounds a little weird, but that's where we're headed. And that's what works, is you want to create marketing that people will actually thank you for. And that's what Eat content is. It is marketing that people will thank you for. You do all those things, you do all the linking, you clean up the bad links, you make sure you have schema, you do the right things on social media, you do all those things, you'll see some gains, maybe not tomorrow, but in the long run, you will see those gains, and it's very important. So that's my end of my prepared remarks. These are some of the resources that I use and that I would recommend to you. That's where you can find us. That's where you can find me. I'm at Jon-Mikel Bailey just about everywhere. We are at Tribe Wellspring just about, quite a few places. But I want to now open it up to Q&A, for better, for worse. I want to hear your questions, and I want to have a discussion with you about what we just talked about, to make sure that you understand what it was that I covered, and that we're all on the same page here. So I think, do we have questions? Okay, so does anyone have any questions? Please go to the chat. I should have mentioned that. I apologize. It's in the bottom portion of your screen. Enter your questions, and I will try to get rid of this tickle that I've had in my throat the entire time I've been doing this. Anyone? Questions? Whitney, I know you have a question. You always have a question. And again, this recording and these slides will be available afterwards, so you can go back through these and get whatever you need. And you can also always reach out to me. I got a little bit of time. I can answer your questions. I'm a nice guy. Jen says they'll email them all out to you guys too. No questions, really? You guys understood all that? You're good? You're solid? We're in agreement? I'm shocked. Boom, here we go. How do you recommend business owners use Eat if they are B2C, for example, an online boutique? So, great question. Eat is not just for B2B. Remember, there's a trustworthiness factor in there. So if you are an online boutique, people want to make sure that they can trust you, and that your stuff is good, and that you're gonna ship it on time, and that you're gonna back it up. You're going to be able to return it, all that stuff. You have a secure website. You have a secure way to check out on your website. It's fast. It's got a mobile presence, so it's easy to use. And if you're an online boutique and you're selling, a specific line of clothes or pottery or artwork or whatever, create content around that stuff and show that you've actually taken the time to understand the products that you sell, and that you stand behind those products, and that you believe those are quality products, and that through your content and through citations, you've proven on your website, even if it's an e-commerce website, you've proven that these are quality products, that you've taken the time to verify that. And if there's anything you can do to write about its care, or its origins, or its construction, or its craftsmanship, or whatever, put that content on your website. That shows people that you're not just peddling junk. You're peddling quality stuff that you understand. How do you handle staff turnover and authorship? Oh, I'm so glad you asked this question. Look, I understand that you might not want to give credit to an author that created content, in the past. I think that's wrong. I think that you should always give credit to the person that wrote the content as much as possible. If you can't, for whatever legal reasons or whatever, I get it. It's fine. And you have to list them as staff. If you can't do that, if you can't, list their name and give them credit anymore, what I would recommend is, maybe go in and edit and rewrite the content, and then not put authored by. You could put authored by staff, but you could put review and updated by this person. So that's a way to kind of still get a name in there. The thing about EAT is you got to give credit where credit is due. I mean, that's just the bottom line. So hopefully that answers your question, Stephanie. I miss you, Stephanie. It's good to hear from you. I hope all things are going well. So Karen's back, and Karen has another question, and her question is, back to the online boutique, where do you put all that content? Specifically in blog posts? Yes, in blog posts, on web pages, and in product descriptions. And a good thing to do is on the product pages, you can list the products, and then you can have a video of maybe a product demonstration or a product overview or a product review. You can have more content that talks about the origin of the product, its materials used to make it. Anywhere you are talking about the products, you really want to make sure that you're verifying that they're good products, and that you know about these products, and that because look, Generation Z is the generation of the deep dive, and Generation Alpha is going to be even scarier. So they want to know everything about everything. So they will go in, they're not just going to look at a product and go, that's cool, I'm going to buy that. No, they're going to look at a product and go, I want to know everything there is to know about that product. I want to know its origin. I want to know the name of the person that made it. I want to know the materials that were used to construct it. I want to know why you bought it. I want to know everything about that product. That's the new generation. So yeah, they're scary. All right, what else? What else? Why is it you always get a tickle right when you're presenting in public? Why is that? I don't know.
Well, it looks like you might have stumped everyone, John.
Apparently. I'm sorry. I didn't mean to. No, a doorway page is not a landing page. A landing page is fine. I should have clarified that. No, a doorway page is not a landing page. So if you have like a paid campaign and you have landing pages, and the sole purpose of the landing page is to try to get somebody to take action once they've clicked on that that's fine. That's fine. A doorway page is when you've created a page that is its sole purpose is link bait. In other words, you've created a page that is sort of tricking someone. It gets them to click because it says it's going to be about one thing, and then it redirects them somewhere else. That's the doorway page. So it is the actual online equivalent of a bait and switch. So a landing page is totally different. A landing page is you have an ad or you have a post and you want to get somebody to go to that page. You tell them a little bit about what it is that they clicked on, and then you ask them to give you your contact information or buy a product or whatever. Totally different. Totally different. Hope that helps. All right, Karen and Stephanie cannot be the only people with questions. Come on, challenge me. Challenge me. The longer I sit up here and talk to myself, the weirder it's going to get. Another. It's good to see you, Stephanie. Does duplicate content from content provider ding you with EAT? That's when you get back to the rel canonical. So you want to make sure that if you are reposting someone else's content on your site, you want to give attribution, and you want to tag it such that Google knows that that's not the original. So that tag, that rel canonical tag, that tells Google that that's not the original. I forget exactly how it has to be written. Your SEO can help you with that, but that tells Google that's not the original content. And then you want to make sure that if your content's being listed somewhere else, that someone is giving attribution back to you, like originally appeared here or something like that, and that the link is set up to be rel canonical. So duplicate content is fine as long as Google can quickly determine through the code if it's the original, and if it's not, where is the original. That's kind of the rule of thumb with duplicate content. Now they're coming in. What happens when you use a company to write your blogs that are also available for other in your same interest tree? So, okay, ghostwriting is fine. I would recommend that if you have a ghostwriter, that somebody on your staff reviews it. If you want to have somebody ghostwrite for one of your people, that's fine. Just make sure that they read it and that they're not just pushing out content that somebody else has done. You know, and make sure that they understand what it is that's being said and that they've reviewed it. Because I get it. Not everybody has time or inclination to write. So one way around that is you could do interviews, but ghostwriting is fine. Just make sure that you're consistent in who you're giving credit to. And if you want to be completely above board, you can say this is, you know, ghost written by this person, or this is written by this person and edited by this person. But ghostwriting is fine. People do it all the time in books and that sort of thing. Just make sure that you're consistent in how you give the credit, and make sure that the person that is getting the credit actually read the content and approved it and has verified that it's real. You mentioned unsafe web hosts. Can you name a few of them? I'm not going to name them by name. Look, I'm not a fan of plug and play stuff where the company has complete and total control over all your stuff. If you're on a platform like Squarespace or Wix, it's a great platform for small businesses just starting out. But when you outgrow that, you're kind of stuck. And then if you ever want to go from Wix to WordPress or Squarespace to WordPress or whatever, it's a little bit more of a heavy lift. Those are closed environments. So it's tough for you to really get in and manipulate the code you need to rank for SEO. It's harder to rank those sites for SEO, in my opinion, than a WordPress site where you can actually get in and manipulate the code. So that's like a website builder. And also a host. For hosts, look, you know, you spend all this money on your websites and you spend all this time on your content, and then you host on a $5.95 a month hosting platform. You get what you pay for. You have zero support. It's on a box with 1,000 other sketchy websites, and guess what? You're going to have speed issues. You're going to have performance issues, and you may even have security issues. So, you know, we offer business class hosting called Sailfish. There's WP Engine. There's WP MU Deb. There are great business class hosting companies out there that I would highly recommend over you know, the $5.95 a month cheap hosting resellers out there. So that's my 2 cents on hosting. I believe we have 5 minutes. Anybody else have a question? So far, it's just been Karen and Stephanie. They get the gold star. I don't know.
Okay, looks like we've Stephanie again.
Yes. Yeah, WP Engine is amazing. It's great. It's a great platform. Fast, safe, secure.
All right. Well, John, I just want to thank you for just such an incredible presentation. You really dug in. I'm sure there may be some questions that people think about afterwards. So when we send out this webinar information, we will make sure that we give them your information and along with the slides and the recording of this presentation.
Yepper.
Thank you so much.
I'm here to help.